Jennifer, a 27-year-old waitress, had worked at Willow's Cafe for nearly 3 years. Located in a sleepy part of town, the cafe was a haven for locals, mostly retirees who came in for coffee, pie, and familiar company. For Jennifer, it was her sanctuary. She loved the cozy atmosphere, the gentle hum of conversation, and the way each regular brought their own quirks to the place. But that evening felt different. Jennifer glanced at the clock as she wiped down the tables. It was 8:47 p.m., almost closing time. The regulars lingered over their last cups of coffee, swapping stories about the good old days. Outside, the streetlights flickered to life, bathing the sidewalk in a soft amber glow. Jennifer enjoyed these quiet moments when the world seemed to slow down. Then the bell above the door jingled. She looked up, expecting to see one of the usual latecomers. Instead, her breath caught in her throat. Walking through the door, exuding a casual but commanding presence, was Elon Musk. Dressed in a simple black jacket and jeans, Elon looked like any other customer, except he wasn't. His face was unmistakable, known worldwide for his innovations and controversies alike. Jennifer froze for a moment, her dishcloth hanging limply in her hand. She had seen him countless times on TV and social media, but now, here he was, standing in her little corner of the world. The cafe fell silent. Conversations halted as heads turned. The regulars exchanged wide-eyed glances, and a hushed murmur spread through the room. "Is that who I think it is?" whispered Marge, a retired schoolteacher sitting by the window. "What's he doing here?" muttered Frank, the gruff ex-machinist known for his bluntness. Jennifer took a deep breath, forcing herself to move. As much as she admired Elon Musk, he was just another customer. She approached him with a professional smile, though her heart pounded in her chest. "Good evening," she said. "Welcome to Willow's Cafe. What can I get for you?" Elon glanced at the menu briefly before meeting her gaze. "Just a black coffee," he replied, his voice calm but firm. "And a slice of apple pie, if you have it." Jennifer nodded. "Coming right up." She hurried back to the counter, her hands trembling slightly as she poured his coffee and plated the pie. Behind her, the whispers grew louder. As Jennifer placed Elon's order on his table, the murmurs turned into outright speculation. "What's he doing here?" one man asked. "Probably buying up the whole town," another replied with a snort. Jennifer felt the weight of their stares and heard every word of their judgment. She busied herself at the counter, sneaking occasional glances at Elon. He sat quietly by the window, staring out at the street, seemingly lost in thought. Despite his calm demeanor, Jennifer could sense the tension in the air. It wasn't long before the silence was broken. Frank stood up from his seat, his expression set in that familiar stubborn way that made Jennifer's stomach tighten. He walked over to Elon's table, clearing his throat loudly. "So, you're Elon Musk," Frank began, his voice loud enough to turn heads. "The guy who talks about saving the world with AI but can't seem to stick to one story. Didn't you start OpenAI and then bail? Now you've got this X.AI thing. What's that about? Can't stick to one story?" Elon looked up, meeting Frank's gaze with a calm, steady expression. "I left OpenAI because I had concerns about the direction it was taking. With X.AI, I'm focused on creating transparency and accountability in artificial intelligence." Frank scoffed, crossing his arms. "Transparency? Sounds like you just wanted more control. Admit it, you're in this for the power, like all billionaires." The room buzzed with murmurs of agreement. Jennifer clenched her fists, her heart pounding. She couldn't stay silent any longer. "Frank, that's enough," she said, stepping forward. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. The room went silent as all eyes turned to her. Jennifer felt a flush rise in her cheeks, but she pressed on. "You don't have to agree with him, but he's still a guest here, and at least he's trying to do something good. Can we say the same?" Frank raised an eyebrow, his tone dismissive. "Jennifer, you don't know what you're talking about." "I know enough to see that judging someone without understanding their intentions isn't fair," she shot back. He's working on clean energy, space exploration, and AI safety. Sure, he's controversial, but who isn't when they're trying to change the world? Elon's gaze softened as he looked at her, a flicker of gratitude in his eyes. But the regulars weren't as forgiving. Whispers of disapproval rippled through the room. Jennifer's heart sank as she saw her boss, Mr. Carter, emerge from the back. His expression was tight, his jaw set. "Jennifer," he said, his tone sharp, "can I see you in the kitchen?" She followed him, dread pooling in her stomach. "What's going on out there?" Mr. Carter demanded. "I was just standing up for a customer," Jennifer explained. "Frank was being rude." Mr. Carter shook his head. "Our regulars are the lifeblood of this place. We can't afford to lose them over some celebrity drama. I'm sorry, Jennifer, but I think it's best if we part ways." Her breath caught. "You're firing me? For standing up for someone?" "I'll give you 2 weeks to find something else," he said, his tone final. When Jennifer returned to the dining area, her chest tight with humiliation, she avoided Elon's gaze as she cleared tables, feeling the weight of everyone's stares. Jennifer felt the sting of tears but held her head high. Her coworkers avoided eye contact while the regulars exchanged knowing glances. Whispers rippled through the room like an unkind wave. Elon quietly observed the scene, his coffee untouched. Jennifer noticed the way his shoulders tensed slightly, though he maintained a calm exterior. As he finished his pie and coffee, he left a generous tip on the table, a stark contrast to the tension lingering in the air. Before leaving, he paused at the counter and glanced at Jennifer, offering a subtle but appreciative nod. She forced a small smile, swallowing back the emotions threatening to surface. That evening, Jennifer sat in her modest apartment, staring at the walls as the weight of the situation pressed down on her. Willow's Cafe had been her safety net for so long. She wasn't sure what her next move would be. The injustice gnawed at her. Why had defending someone, treating them with decency, cost her so much? But even amidst her frustration and sadness, a small voice in her heart whispered, "You did the right thing." She resolved to go back the next day and finish her remaining shifts with dignity, no matter how difficult it would be. The next afternoon, as Jennifer was halfway through the lunch rush, the familiar jingle of the bell caught her attention. She looked up, her heart skipping a beat. Elon Musk had returned. The cafe went silent as every eye followed him to his usual spot by the window. Jennifer froze for a moment before quickly composing herself. She approached his table with a professional demeanor, though her palms were clammy. "Welcome back," she said softly. "What can I get for you today?" "Just a coffee," he replied with a small smile, "and a moment of your time if you don't mind." Her brows knitted together, but she nodded. After setting down his coffee, she returned to his table. He gestured for her to sit. "I heard what happened after I left yesterday," Elon began, his tone measured. "And I wanted to thank you." Jennifer blinked, unsure how to respond. "What you did," he continued, "standing up for me when you didn't have to, that kind of courage and integrity is rare." He paused, leaning slightly forward. "I run a foundation, and we're always looking for people with your kind of heart. If you're interested, I'd like to offer you a position." Jennifer's jaw dropped slightly. "Wait, what?" Elon smiled, a glimmer of warmth in his usually reserved demeanor. "It won't be glamorous, but it'll be meaningful. We focus on education and outreach, helping communities understand and adapt to new technologies. You'd be working in the communication arm of the foundation." Her hands shook slightly as the weight of his words sank in. I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Elon replied with a grin, "and we'll figure out the details later." Tears welled in Jennifer's eyes. After everything she'd endured in the past 24 hours, this felt surreal. "Yes," she said finally, her voice trembling with emotion. "Yes, I'd love to." As Elon finished his coffee and left, Jennifer felt a surge of hope. The humiliation and uncertainty she had faced only a day ago now seemed like distant memories. Losing her job had felt like the end of the world, but it turned out to be the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with purpose, possibility, and the chance to make a real difference. What would you have done in Jennifer's shoes? Do you think standing up for Elon Musk was worth the risk? Let us know in the comments below.